Good morning. Shalom, everybody. Okay, so this is chapter 3 of Secret on the Tarmac by this guy, Christopher Sign. Now you can buy his book on his website, www.christophersign.com. Chapter 3, The Newsroom Discussion. From the parking garage... Oh, before I start, I'm sorry. I promised... Well, I didn't promise. I said I was... Whatever. I said I was going to read chapter 7, because that's actually where the, everybody wants to know what happened, who met with who, and who was there, and all that. That's in chapter 7. But, after much deliberation, I am going to just read in sequential order. All the details are in the book. Buy the book, right? Buy one for yourself and one for a friend. I will read a little bit of chapter 7, though, just as a little teaser. Okay. Chapter 3, The Newsroom Discussion. From the parking garage, I walked through 2 automatic double doors. I was excited and full of information. I quickly walked into the air-conditioned building. It seemed to take a long time as I moved from hallway to hallway, and eventually I turned to my right, which led me back to the newsroom. The bright lights and massive opening of the busy working newsroom greeted me once again. I had just ended my shift while others were either about to start their shift or smack dab in the middle of their workday. In a large newsroom, the lights never turn off. The newsroom is never silent. The sound of letters punched on the keyboard mixed with the chatter from police scanners and various televisions catch your attention. I placed my bag on my desk as my co-anchor and friend, Dan Spindle, asked, "What are you doing? You should be gone." I said, "Dan, I'm about to break a big story." I didn't respond in an arrogant manner. I think Dan knew by the look on my face that I was still digesting information. Truth is, I really wasn't thinking about the presidential election impact. I was actually thinking about Benghazi and the email investigation impact. I told Dan that Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch had just met secretly on the tarmac. Dan responded, "But Lynch is supposed to have a news conference this morning." I answered, "Damn, can we get her on camera?" My thought was, I had the information, I was confident, and I knew we needed to confront the Attorney General of the United States of America. I was not going to take a nothing to see here answer. I had the experience, the information, and the confidence. My mind raced as I strategized. I couldn't even sit at my desk. I was hunched over my desk with my hands on the back of my chair. I felt like a coach trying to decide what play to call next. Things moved extremely slowly and rapidly at the same time. I always kept an extra energy drink at my desk. Does that remind you of somebody? I opened it. Dan said, "Uh-oh, here we go." Dan knew if I opened an energy drink this late in my day that I had no plans of going home soon. The opening of the energy drink was like the opening kickoff of a football game. I was just getting started. I took a swig, stood up and summoned my executive producer, Tyson, to my desk. He was moving slowly. I had made a similar call to him before, and this time he was moving like molasses, figuring I had a lame story idea for one of our reporters in the morning. Instead, time was ticking. Loretta Lynch was on a tour with the Phoenix mayor and Phoenix police officers, talking about who knows what, since she was likely thinking the secret meeting had been pulled off. I then walked 15 feet to Tyson's desk and said, I'm going to pause because there's an airplane. Alright, good enough. I then walked 15 feet to Tyson's desk and said, "We need to have a meeting now, and it's serious." In a way only a manager who trusts you can answer, he said, "Let's do it." He knew I was serious, and we walked across the newsroom into the news director's office. His office has no privacy, with windows all the way around and a door. Everything that happens in the office is viewed by the entire staff. It was like a Charlie Chaplin movie when you walked in. You knew everyone in the newsroom had their eyes on you. Everyone in the newsroom tried to read lips anytime there was a meeting in that office. Some of the staff convinced themselves they were a damn body language expert. My boss, Chris, turned his back My boss, Chris, turned his black leather high-back chair away from his L-shaped desk towards me and Tyson. Behind him sat a massive desk peppered with papers, 2 computer monitors with emails that flooded one screen, which made me feel as though he had a lot more on his mind than hearing what I had to say. Chris was a methodical leader who thinks hard before he speaks. He was smart, and I was lucky he trusted me. He was the gatekeeper. The news director can kill a story, add a story, or question why we chose to do a story. Ultimately, he would have to answer for any story that aired. As Tyson and I walked in, Chris said, "Oh God, what now?" He had a smirk on his face, as he typically did when he and I would joke around, but today was different. I said, "This is serious, and we are about to break a national story with big implications." The look on his face went from, "Where's the punchline?" to a paused reaction, with wide eyes as he waited. He was curious, serious, surprised, and in awe at the same time. Chris had a good poker face, but in this case his face said, "Tell me more, I'm waiting." I could feel the eyes of the newsroom watching. The glass-walled corner office with a strange blue tint on the windows offered no privacy, and the opening credits of that Charlie Chaplin movie were underway, with a dozen or so scattered newsroom employees trying to read lips and body language at the same time. In what felt like a synchronistic move of dominoes, Chris moved from his desk to a small round table as we all grabbed the back of our chairs, pulled them out, and sat down in rhythm. At this point, you could feel the bottled energy of anticipation. The news director knew his newsroom, his people, his employees, and Chris knew me well. If I had something, there was no time to bullshit. We had to move. This was a moment where Chris knew we needed complete focus. He could tell by the look on my face and the fact that my clipboard never left my side. Everyone who has ever worked with me knows I love my clipboard. Colleagues have made fun of me, scrambled to hand it to me during breaking news, and even replaced it when a photographer claimed he accidentally ran it over with the live truck. Yes, I took notes, but I made a habit of not keeping them. It's safer to not keep notes. I learned that early on when a lawyer once asked me for my notes and I said I didn't have them. He replied, "Do you always throw away your notes?" Truth was, it was by chance. Roughly a week after a story, it would just so happen that I would near the end of a standard single-space notepad on my clipboard. As I got closer to the end of the notepad, I would either toss it or rip away pages to make sure I had a secure grasp from the clip. The lawyer told me my unconscious habit was actually smart and safe if I were to ever be sued over my notes. I had jotted down some notes after my call with Jay. As Tyson, Chris, and I sat at the foretop round table, I proceeded to tell Chris I had information that Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch had a secret meeting on the tarmac on the west side of Sky Harbor International Airport, and I was ready to go with it. When I said, "I'm ready to go with it," Chris and Tyson both knew that I meant I was serious and ready to put it on the air. Never once before had either of them questioned me on a story and source when I said I'm ready to go on air with it. Never. Chris and Tyson were trusting and cautious this time around because they knew just how much was at stake. Not just our reputations, but the wrath of presidential candidates and the disdain of a segment of the public who were turning against journalists. Tyson was not completely sold on the initial tip, but he trusted my sources. Tyson sat with a stern yet trusting face as Chris said, "Are you sure?" I told him I was ready, but we needed to come up with a plan to protect ourselves and our brand while still being able to surprise the Attorney General. As Chris sat at the round table, I went over what had transpired. I made it clear. I told Chris that Loretta Lynch just had a private secret meeting on the tarmac at Sky Harbor with Bill Clinton. Chris replied, "Okay, wait, what's Clinton doing in town?" Tyson and I both told him we had no idea. I started into the details of the meeting after I reminded Chris what was at stake. At the time, it was all about Benghazi and the Hillary Clinton email server investigation. Chris wanted to know about my source. He never asked who the source was. Neither did Tyson, but Chris wanted to know my level of trust. I assured him this source came with full credibility, and I was willing to put my career on the line. I explained that Bill Clinton had arrived at Sky Harbor, then ordered his team to wait while Loretta Lynch's plane taxied into position and stopped just yards from his plane. Now, later on, let me just interject something. You want to make sure you get all the details right. I had to reread this again. He actually, yes, there was his plane involved. It was there at the airport, but when the meeting occurred, he actually drove in a motorcade from another location. So anyway, but I was just pointing that out because I got myself confused and thought they both were in planes, that landed on the tarmac, but no. At the same time, no. So anyway, he drove from another location, as we'll see later. Let's see, my source told me that Bill Clinton told his crew he just wanted to say hello to the Attorney General. Can we say conflict of interest? Yeah. As Loretta Lynch's private plane slowly came to a stop in the secure area for executives, Bill Clinton was in a vehicle. I'm sorry. As Loretta Lynch's private plane slowly came to a stop in the secure area for executives, Bill Clinton was in a vehicle eyeing the plane like a steak sandwich he was about to eat for lunch. I was told the former president was stoic and silent with the Attorney General's plane parked. Staff exited the plane, and Jay said Bill Clinton was focused with a smile on his face. Bill Clinton, with a bit of a lean, spoke quietly to an assistant next to him. The former president wasn't worried about security or how others around him on the tarmac would view the encounter. He wasn't worried about what the secret teams thought because he made them wait even longer after he chose to take off, despite already being late. Tyson chimed in as I was going through the details and interrupted with logistics because time was of the essence. So that was chapter 3. So basically they're getting ready to, figure out how are we going. Loretta Lynch is fixing to give a press conference, and we need to ask her about this meeting and, catch her off guard. They should have never been meeting in the first place. Oh, I just want to say hi. How about you don't? Wow. So anyway, let me jump ahead a little bit, give you a little bit of a teaser, because like I said, there's a lot of good details in here, but chapter 7 is where it kind of basically starts like, okay, this is what happened. Christopher Sign was a reporter, and his anonymous source, who he calls Jay, called him and told him about the meeting. So Christopher Sign was not at the tarmac. He did not witness the events personally. Okay, so just make sure that's clear. But basically, chapter 7 of his book is about the meeting, what he knew, what he was told by people that I don't want to speculate. Somebody was there, obviously people were there. Somebody said something to somebody, and eventually it got out to him. So, part of chapter 7, here we go, page 66. On the afternoon of Monday, June 27th, and this was in 2016, right, as you guys remember? Yeah. Bill Clinton met with several business and Hispanic leaders at a Phoenix house. It was not publicized, which was odd. You guys remember anything about Bill Clinton going to meet with business leaders in Phoenix? I don't. I would later backtrack his visit to find out what the former president did and did not do during this quick summer stop in Arizona. The former president left the fundraising meeting at the Phoenix house way behind schedule, oddly late. Yes, oddly late. And I can guess why, to make sure his timing was correct. I mean, I'm sorry. interjecting, speculating, whatever. That was the whole point of him going to Phoenix. And not having a fundraiser that you don't advertise. That's not like a politician to go, you know, you want to drum up business. You want to say, hey, give me money. No. Okay. The former president, and I'm almost done, and I see I'm over 15 minutes already. The former president left the fundraising meeting at the Phoenix House way behind schedule, oddly late. Yes, oddly late. Politicians are rarely early, typically late, but not extremely late, which was the situation on this day with the former president. The former president departed the Phoenix home and headed for the airport in his motorcade. Now, think about it, the logistics, right? Somehow he flew to Phoenix, then he drove to the house to meet with the several business and Hispanic leaders, then he drove back to the airport in his motorcade. They wove through the streets and highways until they arrived at a private terminal on the west side of the airport. This terminal is not connected to any public terminal. It's gated, often patrolled, littered with surveillance cameras, and typically used for high-profile visitors. This kind of visit isn't a big deal for Phoenix, considering the Valley, as it's called, welcomes many high-profile visitors, from presidents to CEOs to movie stars and well-known athletes. On this day, the motorcade arrived, roughly an hour late, to the secure space. The metal gates leading onto the tarmac closed once the former president and his entourage passed through. A police officer was in position at the gate, as was typical for a high-profile arrival or departure. Federal agents were there as well, including United States Secret Service and FBI personnel. The area represented a secure spot on the grounds, where trust was limited to the men and women with badges. The scene was very secure. Nothing was supposed to get in or out. No unwanted guests, no unnecessary eyeballs, and of course, no information. So that was part of chapter 7, very beginning of the details about the tarmac meeting. I got to get out of these mosquitoes and go make some food or something. So, yeah, that was chapter 3. Tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. I don't know. I need to. Yeah. You know what? Today's Friday. Blah blah blah. Chapter 4. Well, I'll probably do chapter 4 on Monday. Yeah. Take a break. Yeah. You guys enjoy your weekend. Shalom.